are holy on your throne. You are mighty on your throne. For your name is holy. Holy are you, Lord.
that did Obama. right, then. Good evening, everyone. We definitely know that you are blessed watching us from home. We want to thank God for the life of our brother Kevin. That was some, amazing time of worship, and I believe that wherever you found yourself or wherever you find yourself, you are certainly blessed. Today, it's really going to be an interesting conversation. It's going to be me and some brothers. Today it's no long ten. It's boys kind of conversation, and we are going to discuss or just have a conversation about something which is very, very dear to my heart. We are going to deal with the subject of manhood. I strongly believe that when it comes to subjects relating to men, most of the time the church most often is very silent. There is a lot of conferences for women. There's a lot of conversations that goes on for women. We have a lot of women, empowerment services and sessions. And it looks as if, most of the time the church is very silent when it comes to men and the struggle when it comes to men. So today, I'm just going to be here with some of my brothers. We are going to have a very, very, very honest conversation. We are going to deal with the subject of manhood. And I want to, I basically break it down. I say from boys to men and men to fathers. Today we are going to talk about everything from, the struggles of being a young man, the pressures of being a young man, living without parents, and all of these kind of things that we, as many young men, go through before we eventually transition into the place of fathers. I personally today would basically be tackling the aspect of fathers where they would have the opportunity to, ask me things pertaining to fathers. We would get the will of God, the mind of God, and the biblical perspective of what fatherhood is about and the responsibility of fathers. We will look at, all the things that are going on, the knife crime, the gun violence, the street kind of lifestyle, absentee fathers, why women are becoming mothers with no fathers in there, why our brothers are ending up in prisons, why most of the time, even when it comes into the church setting, for a very long time, the women seems to be very involved, but the guys, some way or somehow are laid back, and yet we expect these gentlemen or these guys to grow and become, the fathers of the house and the people that are meant to lead the next generation of leaders. So it's going to be very, very, very interactive. And before I introduce them, I have my phone here. One of the things that we want you to do, we want you to go to our YouTube link, just share, invite somebody to watch. And if you certainly do have some questions, just feel free and write them down. And it's something that we are going to pick it up. One of the things that we are trusting God to do today is to have a very, very transparent conversation. I've told the gentlemen to not hold back. I've told them to, be very open, to be very transparent, to say it as it is. And, the whole point of what we want to do today is to definitely start the conversation. And for us, it is not just going to end here, with just a discussion on YouTube and, just a discussion of bringing this thing to your home. But what we intend to do is that right after this conversation, we start a manhood kind of movement. So here, with our church in KAC, what we are going to do is that after this meeting, we are going to be having once a month meeting of these young men, and we are just going to come, just as men to men, boys to boys, brothers to brothers, and talk everything manhood, talk everything brotherhood, share our struggles, share strategies, build businesses together, pray for one another, have, worship and prayer sessions with just men in there, with no sisters in the house. We just want to consciously and strategically get our brothers ready for the responsibilities that are, that is beckoning upon them, or that is upon them in the days and years to come. So if you have a friend, especially if you have a male friend, a brother, a partner, you want to definitely invite them to come and have a look or come and watch, this kind of conversation that we are going to have. It's definitely going to be incredible. Now, before I introduce my brothers, and the people we are going to have this conversation with. Let me just say some few things just about myself. So growing up, I didn't have the opportunity to live with my father. I grew up with my grandmother and my grandfather. Everything was fine until I got to that, teenage years where, as a young man, you definitely want to explore. I went from being one of the best in school to not even going to school at all, indulging in things like gambling and all of these kind of things, and finding myself in places where I wasn't supposed to be, until I got to a place where my grandparents actually felt like, I'd just become too stubborn and they couldn't handle me anymore. And because of that, I had to be, sent away from the house to go and live with my dad, stayed with my father and my stepmother. At a point in time, I had to run away, from the house, go to secondary school, and basically hustle my way through life all myself. I grew up in a broken home, never met my father and my mother together. So in terms of what we call perfect examples, some of us were not privileged to have that. Like I've always said, we were not people that were privileged to inherit greatness or to inherit goodness. We've had to go from street to street, from hustling to hustling. We've gone through all of these kind of things to eventually find ourselves where we are. Has it helped us? Yes, it has. But I certainly don't want my son Joel to live this kind of life. One of the things that wise men do is that when they go through things, they basically, take lots of lessons from this so that their children wouldn't have to go through all of that. So in as much as some of us went there and we've come back better people, there are many of our mates that went there. They are in prisons today. Some of them are dead. Some of them are nowhere to be found. And I strongly believe that if our church, or if the churches or the body of Christ, would pick up that responsibility of raising and grooming the next generation of men that are going to be fathers, we are going to have, the ratio or the scale of fatherlessness in our communities are going to be less. The issues we have in our communities are going to be drastically reduced, and our men would become, the kind of men that God has ordained them to be. So, we would just go back for a quick, break for just about a minute or so, and then when we come back, I am going to be introducing the brothers, and we will kick off the conversation. Stay tuned and keep watching. God bless you. All right then, so welcome back. Like I said, today I'm not going to be handling this alone. I am very privileged to have some, great lads, great gentlemen, on my left and on my right, and we are going to have, a wonderful conversation. So yeah, right here, my man Prince. Charlie?
Yeah.
What's up?
What's good?
Just speaking to the mic.
Yes. What's going
How are you doing, Prince?
I'm feeling well. I'm feeling blessed. Thank you for asking.
You are going to free your mind today.
Absolutely. We're going deep. We're going deep.
So what's up? What's going on?
So yeah, for people that don't know me, my name is Prince, also known as Mr. Free Your Mind. And people call me TT. That stands for Transformational Teacher. because I show people how they can transform from pain to power and find their purpose. And I'm also a life coach and a wealth creator in the kingdom. And yes, I'm a father, fiance, come on. And yeah, listen, we're here to just come with straight facts. We're not gonna come and sugarcoat. We will tell you about our experiences, and hopefully it will touch you at home and the people in here.
Wonderful. So yeah, that's Prince, as he said, he's not going to hold back. And definitely, like I said, we want you to really be part of what we are doing. And if you have any questions, just feel free and come through. Apart from Prince, I have my brother Kofi. Kofi, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
How is it going?
Not bad. I mean, just keeping as it goes, really.
Just tell us. Tell us a bit about Kofi. I mean, what are you expecting today, Kofi?
My name is Kofi. I'm a final year student in uni. I play a bit of instruments.
A bit. You play instruments or you play a bit? Which is which? Tell me, Kofi.
I play a bit of instruments. I'm a brother to many, and yeah, man, I'm expecting a lot today. I mean, there's a lot going on for men, boys, like whether father there, whether mum not there, like there's a lot going on, like a conversation that we all need to have. So I'm grateful to be here, really.
Amazing.
Yeah, man.
I mean, we are grateful to have you here. I mean, if you look at Kofi, he's like a brother that doesn't talk. But one of the things about Kofi that I've recognized is the wisdom in his head. It's incredible. I mean, when I look at the kind of things he talks about and his perspectives, it's incredible, and I'm certainly looking forward to a very amazing conversation. All right, then. So, we also have Obi. Big man.
Yes, sir.
How's it going?
I'm blessed, thank you. Yeah.
So, what's up? What are you looking? What do you think? What are you looking at today?
Today we're gonna be looking to tackle something that we have been ashamed to tackle. I feel like the thing that big elephant in the room that nobody wants to just poke. Today we're gonna be poking the hell out of the elephant. So boys, be ready. Yeah.
Wonderful. Wow. I mean, like Obi said, we today we are going to bring out, the elephant in the closet. We definitely are going to look at things that nobody, basically anyone is not there to touch. And one, the last brother we have, Kelvin, you blessed us amazingly. You blessed us with worship. That was massive. That was massive. I mean, I'm looking forward to a men's, day where it's all men. We are worshiping, we are praying, and you are leading us into some great time of worship. That was incredible. What do you think? Are you looking forward to today's gathering?
Definitely. Like, over time, you've seen that this generation has been affected by fathers that haven't been there, even fathers that have been there and that don't really speak. And even if your family's good, still there's been effects, and we need to dive into what's going on. So, yeah, this is a good opportunity to show the world why.
Certainly. So I think we are ready. I think that we've lost quite a considerable amount of time, and because of that, we should just jump in. We should just jump in straight and just see. My first question. Let me start from Kofi. Do you think that the church is doing enough in terms of raising our young men? Again, like I said, I see a lot for women. I mean, we can just imagine the number of conferences, the number of events. Most of the time when you even look at our churches, the women fellowship most of the time is stronger compared to the men. As a young man, basically being raised throughout the church circle, do you feel like you've had enough, or the church, this is not to target any church, but we want to look at the church of God in general. Do you feel like, in terms of dealing with the subject of manhood or raising young men to become, men, do you feel like the church has done enough on this subject?
Do you know what? I feel like men, we're looked at as, we're expected to go and explore. We're expected to go off and go in the world and hunt and come back. But then when it's a woman, if a woman was to go and explore and go do a mad thing and come back, you'll go running after her straight away.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of the men, you can be in church showing up, like doing what you need to do. But then when you go outside, I feel like the following up of how are you actually doing outside of the four walls, like how are you actually doing? Like, I don't feel like it's present. I don't feel like there's a community for men that allowed them to really express, like, how are you actually feeling? You know, how are you actually doing at home? Like, yeah, man, you might have a father, you might have a mother, but maybe they're not present emotionally, you know? Or you may not have a father, but then that's also another case in itself. So I feel like the church hasn't really done enough really following up outside of the four walls. That's what I believe.
Wonderful, wonderful. Kelvin, what do you think? Do you feel like, I mean, I want to believe you've been raised in church. Yeah. I want to believe that you've been a church boy for a long time.
Basically.
Do you feel like growing up you see that, you know, the church is doing enough to help you, to help your brothers, to help your mates? Do you feel like in terms of raising people, we've done, the church is doing enough?
To be honest, I don't really think so. I don't think the church is doing enough, and this is because, like, I've seen around me, I think what the church expects is that men will later on will find it, will get back to God, will end up in church somehow. However, like, so there's a period in a man's life where they're just doing everything but God. They'll be going parties, they're just doing a mad thing, do you get? And it's a thing where when, as you said, when a lady does that, people go running after them. So I feel like it needs to be a thing where bring, like, people are doing a mad thing. Hold on.
Yeah. I mean, feel free, like I said, just process it, because the whole point is that we want to get the conversation going. You know, today I want us to just be real. I mean, I just want us to be real. So, I mean, anything that basically you feel like saying, I want you to find the right perspective or the right way to communicate it. And then, you know, would be able to look at it from a man's point of view. So, yeah, I mean. Yeah,
so I believe, I don't want to use the word strict because it's not good to be strict, but you should actually look after the boys, because we shouldn't have that period where a boy or a man is going off and doing something and it's like, all right, yeah, you're just having that season, or you're being a bad boy. Every boy has to be a bad boy in their life. But I feel like that shouldn't be the case, because you'll face some experiences that you don't need to, like, experience. Yeah.
That's sure. I mean, I, not for once in my many years of living, throughout the church life, of course, I was raised in church, but there was a period in time of my life I stopped church. I mean, I didn't go to church for a very long time, but not once in my God knows how long of being in church did I see anybody consciously, you know, basically helping to raise me or to raise any of my people. So just like Kelvin said, most of the time it's like you have to figure it out as a man. It's like, yo, you have to figure it out. Just go out there and some way, somehow. And most of the time, by the time you figure it out, you've made too much mistakes. And like I said, glory be to God that some of us were able to come back. But there are some of our mates that are dead. There are some of our mates that are in prison because they were left to figure it out and they never ended up coming back. Prince, do you think this is an African thing? Do you think it's an African problem, or you feel like it's a manner problem? I mean, I don't know too much about the white folks. I don't know too much about the Asian folks. I don't know too much. But one of the things I've observed about the Asian communities, that there is a lot of closeness between them, fathers and children. In as much they have, their own kind of discipline and stuff, they have very strong family bonds and knits. Now, as a young man growing up from Germany, transitioning and coming to the UK, I know you probably may not have started from church, but do you feel like this whole kind of vacuum of emptiness and men not being raised to be men, is it a man problem, or you feel like it's an African problem?
Very good question. The answer to that is, I don't see it as African problem, Indian, Asian problem. I see it as individually. It's an individual problem.
Okay.
You see, I feel like most of the time when we talk about generational wealth, for example, we always want to link it back to money. But generational wealth actually starts with healing. And that's why a lot of grown folks are still in the childhood mentality. You see? So in order for you to transition to the manhood, you have to put your childhood to peace. So I feel like a lot of our fathers, they never put their childhood to peace. And that's why when you try to speak to them, they're trying to shut you down. Not because they don't want to speak to you, but they don't know any better. And I'm talking from my experience, because I remember I was so angry with my father, because whenever I wanted to speak to him, you see, I grew up trying to impress my father. Everything that I do, it was for my dad. So when I come with an A, why don't you have an A star? When I come with I scored 2 goals, or why didn't you score 3 goals? So after a while I was thinking, wait, I can't do anything to impress him. You see? But then I realized I can't say it's an African thing, it's an individual thing. Because you see, in some African households, they still have dads that are super. They still have dads that take you to every training session. So I feel like with that, it comes with the individual and how he grew up and how his heritage was, how his connection was with his father, how his connection was with other males. You see? So from then, I understood, okay, do you know what? I can't hate him for who he is. I actually feel sorry for my dad. And we say we're going deep, right? So I can free my mind, right?
Yeah, free it.
I can free it, right? You know what I'm saying? Come on, let me free that mind. Mm-hmm. So with me now that I've grown up, when I was younger, I was angry. Listen, there was a time I was even praying for him to just die. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it real, yeah? Because I was thinking, what? You don't want nothing good for me? Why do I need you? I had to go through so much pain. So to answer your question also, it's an individual thing. But instead of asking ourselves, what is the church doing for us? We should ask ourselves, what are we doing for the church? Because for me now, it's a thing where, it's so funny with me. I've been a church member at this church for 2 years. But whenever I come, I see some of the newbies coming to me saying, welcome to KAC. I'm like, what? Do you know who you're talking to? They're telling me, come sit here. I'm like, hey,
El Daniel.
Facts, right? You know what I'm saying? So with me, it was always a thing where I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And this is what I want the people that are watching us today, the people that are hearing us today to know. It's okay not to be okay sometimes and to have 1 foot in, 1 foot out. But I feel like we need more guys in the church that can acknowledge it. To say that, listen, I know where you're coming from. I know you still like partying. I've been there. But because we don't have too many representing that, or too many being real to say, I've been doing that, a lot of the youngsters shy away and be like, I haven't been to church for 2 weeks. Allow it. Let me leave it. Because if I come back, everyone's going to stare at me and ask me questions. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? So with me, it came to a time where I couldn't come for 3 weeks, and I was like, oh my God, so called me on a Saturday, I didn't pick up because I know he's probably going to tell me I have to do something on a Sunday, and then I come on a Sunday and I'm somewhere in the back. But this is what I want you to understand. He never judged me once. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? He overstood and understood where I'm coming from. So we need to raise kings that let other kings understand it's okay to be vulnerable and it's okay to go left sometimes, as long as you find your way back into the right side. That's me.
That's a lot. That's a lot for just the intro. Now, that's a lot for the intro. But I'm going to go back to Obed, but we'll come back again to the culture thing. In terms of numbers, I understand it's an individual thing. I personally I'm being raised from a family where men are very irresponsible. I wouldn't say that because it's a family thing. That's how I'm raising my family. But, numbers don't lie. And facts don't lie. And, one of the things that I found out when my wife, we were going to have our first son, Joel, going with her, to the labor room and seeing her go through all that kind of, pain, being there, seeing my son born, holding my son in the arm, for the first time and things like that. It gave me some kind of connection. Whereby in Africa and in the most African setting, the man don't go to the labor room. The man is home or the man is outside, and then they come and tell him, oh, you had a boy, oh, you had a girl. So I feel like to some extent, they don't have real connection. And what you don't know, you cannot give. You cannot, most of the time, you cannot give what you don't have unless grace is given to you. So where I know that in terms of this white people and the white culture, it's completely different. Nothing has changed. It's always been like that. So we'll come back to the aspect of culture, because one of the things that I know is that in as much as we are all serving God, culture is very dominant in our churches, isn't it? You just enter a church and this is Ghanaian church. This is Nigerian church. This is a Pakistani church. I took some of my boys to a church I went to preach 3 weeks ago, and it was a Spanish church. And when we came back, they were like, the culture is so different. The people, it's so different from what we are used to. So, no matter what, culture seems to be very dominant. So we'll come back to that aspect, with all of you having African fathers, and we'll just talk about that African father thing. Isn't it funny? Like when you watch these short skits on YouTube, these funny things, it's like an African father, you fool, they will slap you. That kind of thing. They'll tell you can't do this in an African mother's home. Some people, white people will prank their moms. They will be like, oh yeah. And then you prank your African mother. It's like, I'm taking you to Nigeria tomorrow. That kind of thing. So again, it looks as if, the culture is very dominant in how we are raised. Even though we go to church, even though we speak in tongues, it looks as if the kingdom culture has not yet taken over our traditional culture. So we are going to come back. But let me come to you, Obi. Now, we are raised very different from Prince. You are a PK.
Come on.
Okay? So you are a pastor's kid. Now, from Free Your Mind, he basically is coming from a place where, like he said, he's not really a church boy. He wasn't raised a church boy, and all of these kind of things. You were raised as a church boy. Now, being raised from a church home, a father being a pastor, being a pastor's son all your life, do you think that the church you've been used to, I'm not talking about your father's church. We are not pointing hands at specific church, but you've probably been in some churches. You've gone to some churches before your father even established his church as a whole. Do you feel like the church is doing enough to raise our men?
I would say no, and I will say that it's not totally their fault. What I struggled when I was growing up to do was to connect with the people in the church, because I felt like they were too perfect. So they come with the suit, but if you wear jeans, why are you wearing jeans? Because they've let me say, modeled this Christian look to such a way that if I don't look like them, I'm not as holy as them. Right? So there was an image that I could not connect to.
Even as a pastor's son.
Even as a pastor's kid.
You probably grew up with suits in your wardrobe. So why couldn't you connect? You had them to wear.
But it wasn't me. I was doing it because they were saying that if I don't, like, even there is a whole culture around us children that if I don't wear this, then they'll feel like I'm a rebel. Right? Oh, I don't want you to be a rebel around them. So the presentation of having that suit. So from growing up, my mindset was like, okay, you know what? I need to do this so that I will be accepted. But then you go to your friends who accept you with your jeans. You go to your friend that accept you with. So you rather go out with them than to pretend to be someone that you're not in church. So that's why me growing up, I'm telling you, I wanted girls because the people I looked up to, they wanted girls. There was nobody that was an example that I can say that this guy wants to be a Christian. There was no way I could feel at home in church.
Okay.
But the sense of affection, love, brotherly love was in the streets. So how can you tell me now that I need to be more loyal to the church once they don't show me affection? I am showing up in a certain manner. I am not holy enough. I'm a rebel. Even this head that I have is a problem. Like, no, let's talk. So I feel like the world recognizes people more than the church recognizes people. How can you expect me to be a pastor when I'm a kid? How can you? Okay, I can dress like a pastor, but I'm not one. Until you mature me. So I feel like there's a big controversy when it comes to the expectation versus the reality. The expectation is the church needs to look, the kids need to look this way, right? But the reality is we are not those people. So why don't you teach me rather the person, so that out of my own way I will wear the suit if I feel like wearing suit. And nobody has to force me to wear suit now. I wear it because I feel like wearing it. But I don't. This thing that we were kids and they were putting out. If you don't wear, they will think that we are homeless. They'll think that, hey, are you guys here? So I feel like the expectation that they put on us boys, men, does not really meet our reality.
Now, apart from this expectation, do you feel like, it's one thing to put an expectation on somebody, but do you feel like they were, in a way, raising, in terms of mentorship, in terms of grooming? No. Maybe the expectation is on you because they are teaching you something.
Okay, to that I will answer saying no. Because this is what it is. If, for example, there are kids that have football careers. For example, let me tell you this, and I'm sure that people can relate. They only care for you if you're a musician. Because I'm a musician, I can say that they cared about me in terms of, okay, I can show up because they need me. But the inner person, they never went out of, the church doesn't go out of their way to find out how the individual really is outside of their gifting. Sometimes you don't know that I am sick, but you just see that I'm not in church. And you'll be blessed, this guy is not reliable. But you have not even asked, how's the person doing? The ladies, I feel like there is more of that fellowship going on. That for us, man, we kind of have to go about ourselves. Okay, you know what, it is what it is. But unless we are musicians that you can really have value like that to the church or something, if you're not a musician, then I'll feel very distant from the church. My gifting is my passion, so I love playing. And as a kid, there is that level of, I like playing. Even if nobody calls me, I'm going to come and play. But if I didn't have that, then I don't know what would be keeping me in church.
Okay. All right. I think it will be hot tonight. I feel like
just introduction.
I feel like we are getting somewhere. Kofi, at what age did you as a person begin to recognize I'm a man or I'm becoming a man? I know that the whole transition phase is different from people to people. At what age as a person did you begin to recognize I'm Kofi? I'm watching this in secret. Nobody knows. I'm doing this. I like a woman. I'm confused. At what age for you, and I'm going to ask every one of you this question because I want to basically uncover around what age do men or boys begin to recognize themselves. Because in our families, you could be 30 and your father still feels you are 2. You could be 30, in their eyes you are still 2 years, so they still see you as that boy in nappies, just going about playing with some ball, and you are watching Teletubbies, Captain Planet, Scooby-Doo, Dexter's Lab, and all of them kind of stuff. Now in my boys' time he's watching Paw Patrol and this thing with pig, what's the name? There's this Peppa Pig and stuff, at what age? The reason why we are saying this, so that when people have sons, at some point in time, they'll begin to recognize. Look, it will shock you. I went to a church and I was having a conversation with young men, and they were between the age of 11 to 20. And I asked this question, There were about 30 of them. How many of you are struggling with masturbation? And all of them raised their hands. Everyone, not even one person. 30 young men from 11, every one of them. So, I started talking to them, bonding with them, and some of them were telling me they started by 9, by 10, and I bet their parents don't even think that at the age of 9, this kid has even seen pornography before. Okay? So, it looks as if our parents don't know us. So, at what age did you feel like, let me start hiding some stuff because this is me. I'm Kofi. I can see that. When did you feel like you are transitioning?
This is going to be a deep conversation. Do you know what it is, yeah? I think I started recognizing myself more in college days. Yeah? But prior to that, I feel like I was aware of what I was doing in terms of I was aware that, like, for example, if we're using a masturbation example, throughout secondary school, I went to a boys' school. That stuff is kind of normal. It's so bad, but like it's normal for you to be doing that. It's made to seem like it's normal. But if you're not, for me, I was hiding it because at home, your dad's not gonna. My dad wasn't gonna tell me that, like, what are you doing? Like, but because he wouldn't even think that. That's a sad thing. But when I go to school, it's normal. So that's why I'm learning it more. Do you know what I'm saying? So then by the time I'm in college, I'm just in flourishing. I'm just I say. But I'll just be honest. Do you know what it is? But like, if my father knew, do you know what it is? I'll be honest. My dad loved the guy, like, loved my dad. He does I'm my only child as well, so he does everything he can for me. The only thing was he wasn't emotionally present. So he will give so much physically.
But you can't connect.
But he can't, I can't come sit and have a conversation with my dad. I'm going through this. How do I? But the thing is, it's not because he's strict. It's not because he himself, he doesn't speak. Because
his father didn't talk.
He had a big disconnect with his dad. So on his part, he's thinking maybe me giving to my son, me giving him money every day, food on. If the last thing is on my dad's plate, he'll give it to me. But when I got to college especially, I realized that it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. I needed to be able to sit down with my dad like, I can't lie. I've met a lady, like, how do I go about chatting to her? Or I'm going through masturbation, or I'm starting smoking, like, what do I do? Like, but I couldn't sit down and connect with him and ask him those questions. So, in my case, I was connecting with people in the church. Those people were raising me, but then I feel like when I got too much to handle, so then the crucial time that I needed them, it's like, father's not there, church not there, then.
But the friends in college will be there.
The friends in college, they're doing their thing. They're helping me. They're helping me
in their own way.
In their own way,
which could go very wrong.
At the same time, and even outside of college as well, certain friends, like, we're doing things thinking that, this is calm though, but it's because we know no better. So you can't blame us. So all this to say that the people that I really wanted that affection from, that correction from, I didn't get that. So then, when I'll say college days, long from.
So it for you, the whole journey and transitioning was really when you got to college. Because in college you are just surrounded by different people from different places. Isn't it sad? Like, by the time we recognize that we basically all went through the same thing.
100%.
Like, I could never sit down with my dad How dare you? How dare you? The only time I can sit with my dad is when we are watching football. The only conversation we could have was football. Manchester United, Barcelona, we can talk. Afterwards, there's a complete disconnect. So to the extent that it looks so awkward when you are there together because you have nothing to talk about. But then, he would do everything. Like you said, he would pay the fees, he would do everything. And to them, by doing so, they are doing everything. And it's crazy, but let's go to Kev. We'll come back. At what age did you feel like you were discovering yourself like, yo, this is me, this is Kevin, my parents really think I'm a kid, but I'm not really a kid, I'm doing things underground and this and that and that. Around what time did you recognize this?
I think I had a couple of stages, I had multiple stages where I realized, yo, I'm not a kid anymore. One of them, college, sixth form. So for me, I can't lie, I as a kid, I wasn't allowed out the way everyone was allowed out, you get? So around sixth form...
You were in lockdown.
Yeah, some would say lockdown. I was in lockdown a long time before lockdown. So college times, sixth form, I'm not gonna lie, there'll be days where I say I'm going music school and I'm not coming home for 3 days. I'm in a different place. I'm just in a different place. And my parents didn't know. And it was happening a lot. And when I was out, in my head, that was one of the stages where I was like, yeah, I'm a man. But it actually wasn't it because, for example, I still need money. Because I don't tell them I'm going out, I'll still need to survive. So then I thought I was a man. Another time where I thought I was a man. I think this one made me realize I was a man as well. One time I done some things with money, innit? Money. And it got heated. It got heated. And then they found out, the people that had the bank, they found out, now asking me questions. And then the letter came to my house that I owed this much money. And then I was lying, I don't know what happened. And then I realized, I told the truth. I was like, in fact, yeah, I done this and this and this. And then my dad, he was just, this was usually in the house, he's talking bears, if he's angry, everyone knows he's angry. But this time, he was like, can't lie, you're of age now. Whatever happens, you have to face it. From that moment, I was like, raw.
You're a man now.
Yeah. So, for example, I had to go to the bank myself. And the thing is, it's not like he was just like, nah, I'm not your dad anymore. He was still then he was just like, but this thing, you have to face it. So that I had to face. And
around what age are we talking about?
So this is around 17 to 18.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all of them times there, I realized. And now, the way I am as a person, I've seen traits that I've seen in my dad that he hasn't told me about. I've had to analyze for myself, figure it out for myself. And there's things that I've struggled with, for example, the masturbation thing, girls, even not being, how I manage money as well. I've seen that, not that my dad is bad with managing money, but there's problems. You know what I mean? Everything is good. Again, he'll provide everything. He's a great guy. I love him. It's just I've seen traits that I'm if you had told me, I would have just avoided doing this. So
if you had told me, that's deep.
Yeah. And the thing is, I'm not gonna lie, I can ask about things, if I have a girlfriend, when I had a girlfriend, I told him, yo, I have a girlfriend, etc. All these things there. It's just the thing is he will tell me about the good things that happened, I was a straight A student, I was this, but he won't tell me about
the struggles.
Do you get it? So yeah.
I get it. It's getting interesting. It's getting interesting. I think we'll definitely need a part 2 of this. I think we'll definitely. Now, Prince, at what age did you feel like I'm a man? or you, like I said, your parents will still think you're a kid.
Yeah.
But at what point did you feel like, yo, I'm not that kid as you think, and I'm doing my own thing?
With me, it's the same as with Kay. I had a few stages where I thought I'm the man, but then I had to fall in order to see that I'm still a kid. Because what people have to realize, I moved to London at the age of 15.
By yourself?
Alone. My parents, my sisters and everything, they were all in Germany. I came to stay with my relatives to come and, further my education. So let's say a few years before that, I think I was 13, and my dad said to me, I need to be home for 10 p.m. And when you're out with the guys, and the guys are like, yo, come, we're going there. And you're like, oh, okay. It's 9:30, but like, yeah, look, we're staying till 11. You good, yeah? You can go. I was like, yeah, of course I'm good. Sweating, thinking, yeah. And then when I went home, with me, I always knew that when I do something to my own accord, I'll get beatings. So after a while, when you beat a kid so many times, in your head, you know that if you don't do it accordingly, you get beatings anyway. So with me, I was doing the wrong things regardless.
Because the beating is going to come.
Because the beatings will come regardless.
Let me just throw in this joke. There's a friend of mine whose dad was a soldier. And when he is leaving for work, he would wake them up in the morning and beat them.
Hey.
For nothing. He would just get up and they'd be like, yeah, but why? He was like, I know when I go, you will fool. So I'm beating you in advance. so they wake up and they just get the beatings and go back to bed. Because the father knows regardless, these guys will do something. So, at a point in time, you just do like, yo, I'm doing it. When I come, just give it to me. And the funny thing about beating is that you are scared for a while and then you're not scared anymore.
That's it.
You just get to a place where the body just gets accustomed to beating.
Used to it, yeah.
So, I remember those times I would go out and do everything. And when I'm coming, I just come and I come straight to you like, yo, do it. Let me go to bed. That I wouldn't even let you come and look for me because my grandmom usually would wait till I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
She would get in there, lock the door, take the keys, put it in her bra, and then in there, you can't go anywhere. We would be running through the whole room, So now when you come, you just go straight in like, yo, you go and bring the belt yourself, like, take it,
oh, yeah.
do it, let me go to bed, that kind of thing. So, yeah, you knew they would beat you regardless, so you prepare yourself for that.
I knew they would beat, I knew he would beat me regardless, so I prepare myself mentally. But then I realized that actually, I'm not a man, I'm a kid. And this is what happens to a lot of teenage guys between the age of 12 to 18. You think you can manage a lot of things until you need them. But then when you really need them, you don't want to go to them to show them that you're still a kid. And I think that's the problem, thinking that we want to grow up too quick. And then once we grow up, that's when we want to just calm things down. So I believe with this, I had to learn to be a baby for a very long time. Because when you're a baby, you get taken care of, right? When you're a baby, they pick you up regardless. But with me, from the age of 15, I felt like I had to be my own man without even getting the real encouragement from my dad. So I feel like in a way, it was my own fault and my own stubbornness, to think that, I don't need him.
Was it your family's decision to get you to the UK, or you wanted to come by yourself?
It was my own decision. I used to come on holidays to see some of my cousins. I loved it. I was like, ooh, English, I like it. A lot of black people. Ooh, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like, I'm feeling home.
You don't get that in Germany, isn't it?
Not that much. It's a bit, So when I saw it here, I felt really comfortable. So when I said, I want to move to London, you can imagine, 15. My mom looked at me and she was like, eh? And my dad was just that typical dad. He was watching TV, doing this, not even looking at it. He's like, So that basically means go, you come back. So when he done that, that's when I said to myself, I need to prove him wrong. And then,
but should a young man of 15 be put in the place where he has to prove a point?
No, absolutely not, because this is where I started breaking and losing myself.
We'll come there. All right. So Obi, again, you are the pastor's child. You are the holy of holies. you are possibly Melchizedek, right? Or a Levite, or probably from the tribe of Zebulon. you are Mr. Perfect,
the high priest.
You woke up with sound of prayer at 3 a.m., morning devotion at 7. I mean, thank God some of us didn't have that. I just don't know what life would be like if my dad was a pastor. I feel bad for my son Joel. I really feel bad for him. Because I don't know, but I never would have been happy if I was a pastor's child.
Right.
I'm happy with all the journey I've been on, being street, being ghetto, experiencing all of that. I feel like sometimes when you are born in a house where your parents are pastors, you are just denied of some of these experiences. But it's good because some went, they never came back.
Right.
Okay. So now, at what point did you feel like they don't even know me? I'm a man. You are beginning to, hide things. You probably sleeping. I'm assuming you on these double beds. Your brother is up. You are down, or you are
Big
up. Your brother is down.
Yeah.
And then when someone opens the door, you just throw the phone somewhere. That's the thing. So, at what point in time did you begin to recognize that, I'm a man, or I'm growing, and these people don't even know me?
I feel at the age of 13 and the age of 17. So 13, Italy, and you have to understand that the way white people in Italy take care of their children is different from how black people in Italy take care of their children. Mm-hmm. So as a young black boy, you are going out with people that have different standards. So if they have the freedom, you don't have the freedom. If they can spend however money, you can't spend that money because you ain't got none. Mm-hmm. Right? And therefore, and if they feel like, boyfriend and girlfriend, at home, I know it's gonna be a problem, but because they are doing it, and I feel like I'm part of them, I'm exploring things because it's part of the white culture. I know it's not part of my father's culture, but I grew up in Italy. Mm-hmm. So I am with them, so I'm involved with girls at a young age, like 12, 13, right? I already know pornography. I mean, we were in class and they show pornography videos in class. All the Italian people know who I'm talking about, right? They know, right? The class is not that big, that's why they know, right? So we are used to this. We are seeing this, and even I don't even want to go there, but I'm just gonna touch it. But I even liked white girls more than black girls. I don't want to go there, but it's just for you to. I was so indoctrinated in the Italian culture that I said I need one of the whites. Do you understand? No. And then that's when I realized that, my parents don't even know. Because I'm hearing my mom on the phone thinking, my son Obed. Mama, if you knew. Right? So then fast forward, I'm in the UK, Charlie. I'm a nice guy here, coming here, exploring the land, Charlie. The girls here, all colors. In Italy, white, black, my dad, brown, yellow, sharp. I see everything. Charlie boy. And I'm seeing girls. And they even say, but you speak Italian. And mind you, when I came here, there were not many Italians here. I was one of the first people, 2009. So I'm like, I speak Italian. So, and then boom. Now we use that to go. And
at this point, your parents still feel like you are still the Obed.
I'm still the Obed boy. And it got to a point that I think around the age of 2012, 2011, 12, I was going home and then going out, coming back on a Sunday. So 2012, I think that was the first year, second year that we opened the church. I was literally going out to do whatever I had to do, both street and girls. That's when you try different avenues, different these things, different drugs and stuff, and you'll be like, the girls want to do it, let's just do it, let's just chill, right? As long as we are chilling together, if I go down, you're coming down with me, so I have security, right? We are trying everything. You're at the age of 17. I will see my parents only on Sunday, Saturdays, because I'm playing. If it wasn't for that.
And for your parents, where are you?
For my parents, I'm in my friend's house.
Okay.
Morris, which I've introduced to them, and me and Morris up to now, we are still good and stuff. We grew up, we gave a life to Christ around the same time. So by those days, Kai. So it got to a time that it was really, really bad. I mean, it was so bad also that at one point I said, I'm done. I'm going to go to Islam. Some of you don't know. I said, I'm done. I'm going to go to Islam because a lot of my friends were Muslims. Also, it was so bad I read the whole Quran. And if Quran was a true religion, I would have been a Muslim now.
Okay, now, what age, now based on the things that we are saying, when should we really keep our eyes on our boys? And then we would move from this place and now we will now come into the role of the church. Because even if the biological fathers are not doing it's the primary responsibility of the biological parents. But then, even if they are not, the church is supposed to act as a bridge. So we would come there because we are not here to talk about families and homes. We are here to talk about how the church needs to, position things. But Kelvin, what would you say? At what age do you think, like, if you are a father, at what age would you be like, let me fix my eyes on these boys?
So I think it'll be actually from very, very young. Because, for example, you said that when you went to the conference, you saw 9-year-olds. And, like, we all know them sleepovers that our parents allowed us to go to. And then you're playing mommy and daddy, but you're not playing mommy and daddy. You're just pretending to do something that you don't even know. So from that young age, you're year 1, 5, 6, you're already doing stupidity. Like, you're just playing mommy and everyone knows them games. So, like, from young, I'm not saying don't allow sleepovers, but, like, you have to use wisdom now because we all know what we were doing. So, you need to watch.
Let's go.
Yeah, you need to watch from a young age, like, because we're born into sin. So from young, even if they don't know, things will happen. Yeah, they learn to lie, they learn to kiss, chase in school, all of that stuff. Like, it happens. So from a very young age, for me.
Coffee.
I think the generations are different because I think when I was younger, I really got into computer probably like 6, 7.
My son Joel is already in by 4.
And at this generation, like, out of the womb, like, they know how to use an iPad. Do you get what I'm saying? So, like, the access to things is much easier. So I think if I was to have a son now, the eye is on from like 2 minimum. Because honestly, like, you don't know what they're exposed to now in this generation. Back then, to get internet, computer, like, by 9 I was comfortable on a computer. Now I'm seeing the mad thing that I'm seeing. But now, from 4, as soon as they're in school, they're probably seeing the mad stuff straight away. Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
And especially now that they are even introducing it to the curriculum.
Yes, it's
like,
crazy.
they are teaching them from a young age. I mean, this is what I feel like the church has to redefine Sunday school. I feel like telling stories about Abraham and Sarah is not good enough.
It's true.
The story of Samson and Delilah, like we came and we sing, this little light of mine. You sing some 2 good songs and you hear the teacher. I feel like it's not good. It's like now the Sunday school has to be very intentional. And that case where people who knew nothing would just let them go and teach Sunday school kids, it should be over. Because what these kids are learning now, it's just crazy, isn't it?
And I want to say, for me, like, I never went to Sunday school, like, so I feel like I was pushed, especially because of music. Like, I just always wanted to be around the musicians and whatnot, but it didn't help in a way. So now, like, as you're saying, Sunday school needs to be very intentional, like, so intentional. Whatever you're teaching, it can't just, as you said, just be like Noah and the Ark and blah. Like, it actually needs to be, like, this is what's going on in schools. If this is what you're learning, this is what we're teaching you, and this is what you go by, kind of thing.
It should be used for like damage control. Yeah, Prince, look, you want to say something, and then I would go on to the next question.
Okay. So yeah, with that, obviously I have a son now. He's like a 1.5 years, and to be honest with you, I started speaking to him straight away, day 1. Even my missus looked at me like, he's just a kid. Relax yourself. Like, you're talking to him like, listen, this is that. Because I believe subconsciously, somehow, it's still going to touch his mind regardless. You see, so with that, I wouldn't even put an age and say by the age of 2, no way. Like when I speak to my son now, I speak to him like he's grown. I speak to him, you're not my friend, yeah? We're going to have the limits, but know that I went through it and I'm going to lay the carpet for you, yeah? Know that masturbation, we can talk about it, yeah? Let's be real, how to put a condom on. I'm going to show you, I'm going to teach you that. So you don't have to go to anyone else because you don't know people's intention nowadays. You see what I'm trying to say? And I just had to learn for myself because I didn't have a person that I can go to. I only had the streets and the guys from the streets. Their intentions weren't good. So we as new fathers or about to be fathers, we need to pave the difference. That's why I do so much activities with my son outside. So when he grows up, he will know, oh, my dad used to take me outside, so outside is where the world is, rather than giving him an iPad so I can play FIFA 21. So I feel like we need to implement more things for them to see the world rather than let them go and explore other things. Because, just the last point with that, I realized the kids that have ambitions to do something, they don't have the time to go and explore for these other things online. You know, you introduce them to karate, football, they have something they love now. With us that had to explore, we didn't have anything that we love, so we had to go out there and get it. So I believe it's straight from day one.
Now, I want us to talk about the struggles. The struggles of a young man. Again, we are told to be strong. We are told to be hard. I've grown up to be hard. Like I was telling you people on Sunday, we didn't inherit anything. You know, it's crazy because when people see you successful, they think you've had it easy. But we've not been given anything. We've had to go through everything. And like I said, it's dangerous because some of them went and never came back. Now, I want us to talk about the struggles of a Christian young man. Now, I want us to just, move from the young man of the world. And I want us to narrow it and come to the Christian young man. Again, most of the times, one of the things I see is that our women are taken care of. That is not to say they don't have their problems. I believe that they have their problems, but I believe that there's a little bit more solution out there for the women than the men. I mean, I've seen women conferences from Deborah to Esther to whatever, and you can't find one for men. You go to marriage, traditional wedding, and everybody's advising the woman, when you marry, do this to your husband, and no one is really saying anything to the man. It's like women are prepared even to get married, but the man, you have to figure it out. You are a man. You know how to do this, and they'll tell the woman, when you go on your husband, do this, don't do this. So it's like there's always at least some kind of education. Even when you go to counseling, you recognize that the emphasis most of the time is on the woman and never the man. And some way, somehow, we are left to produce what we've not been taught. And one of the things I say all the time is that I never expect from people what I've not taught them. If I've taught you and you are not implementing, then I can do. But when I've not taught you, I would not expect it from you. Now, as Christian young men in college, in uni, I mean, some people were good until they got to uni. And then all of a sudden, there was a world of freedom. 3 years, and after uni, they don't come back, or they come back very different. Now, I want us to talk about the struggles of a Christian young man growing up. Let's say from 16 years. Let's just take it from there. From 16 at least, I'm on that journey. 16 through 18, 20 something, and you're a Christian and you come to church and the standards are high. You are hearing preachings of you need to be righteous and and stuff like that. Where is the struggle? Let me start from Obed. As a Christian young man, where are most of the struggles for the men? Or for the boys?
I would say first, probably be sexually. Sexual struggle, I think that'll probably be up there. Reason being is that we have sexual urges that we don't understand, and nobody is there to walk us through it. So if I have a sexual urge, I'm just gonna go and explore it myself because nobody's here to navigate me through it. I know people are gonna speak more further. I'm just gonna get as many points as I can. Number 2, identity. Identity is a huge issue for us because even when we are not sure about our role as men, we are not built to ask questions. We're not built to tell you that we are struggling. We're not built like that because we just have to firm it. We're like, oh, you're going through stuff. Oh, firm it, man. You be a man. Man up. That's it. So I'm like, I'm supposed to figure things out. And someone like me, let me use myself as an example. Like I went from road to youth leader in a space of 2 years. Actually, even 1 year. Right? And I went there and people never really cared about your well-being. They just expected you, oh, you're a youth leader, just get this done. Just get this done. Or we are looking up to you and I don't have anybody to look up to. Until someone came later on. And it gets to a point that, okay, figure it out. But then I'm like, okay, who has shown me the blueprint? Because even my father who is living a good life, he's married to one woman for more than 35 years. God, glory be to God. But he comes from a different place. Right? His dad taught him differently. He's done well. He provided for me, but he hasn't really shown me the ropes. Like, okay, when you get to this, do that. And at the same time, I am not built to humble myself to ask. I am not built to tell you that I'm struggling. I am built with, I'm struggling, I need to figure it out. So as a Christian...
When you've been made a youth leader, you are meant to get it.
I am meant to be righteous. Every problem within me needs to be solved. Because it's going to just solve itself. Oh, I'm a road man. All of a sudden, I'm a youth leader, and the road is just disappeared. The urges, sexual urges, are just gone. You know, everything is just gone. Women are not gonna come. Even since I became a youth leader, the women are here double. Honestly speaking, let me be honest.
The women love anointed men.
Even musicians, Chris. If I can just hold something, Charlie, tie. If I bring stories or so, you won't believe me. So you expected to show this level of you've got it together.
Now, based on that point, you are coming from a place of, I'm trying to find the right English word, but you are coming from a place where you are basically hiding your identity. And then you just zone from that place straight and you are made a youth leader. Do you feel like the church we have to be mindful of the people we entrust with certain positions, or you feel like we should just put people there regardless and give them the capacity to grow from there? Because now I'm thinking, from what you are saying, you didn't even know from your left from your right. And certain responsibility, the moment you have it, you are expected to conduct yourself a certain way, behave a certain way. And, you can fool people, but you are struggling. Listen, I was in uni. I was the leader of the Campus Christian Fellowship and all of that. But big man was struggling indoors.
Oh, yes.
And one of the things I feel like what makes some of these things a silent discussion, Prince, is because the people that are meant to deal with it are struggling.
Let's go.
I feel like there are more pastors masturbating. There are more pastors, struggling with infidelity. So now you can't talk about it because you haven't overcome it. So the moment that subject comes up, everything is so uncomfortable. You need to get to a place where you have overcome this thing to be able to, look at it in the face and deal with it as it is. So we are all acting. I say all the time that the best actors are in church.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I feel like church is Hollywood. We have the best actors. You'd see two people fighting. Yeah. And the moment they walk through there, they praise God, praise God, hallelujah, and stuff like that. And then when we come to worship, everybody's lifting up their hands and they are singing, but they are not talking to each other. The guy's just coming. So, we've been taught to act as opposed to being real. And the thing is that when you're not real, you will not find healing. Because if you are struggling with, and that is why, in spite of all my strictness and everything, I let people be themselves around me. Because if I don't let people be themselves around me, Who are we deceiving? They could act like it's all good, but we know it is not. So the church has become a theater for actors. Everybody's good. Everybody's praise God. Everybody's excellent. But people are struggling. And that is why this conversation. So, Obed, again, do you think that it's about time we become very mindful with which people we call in certain places? Because I'm wondering, what qualified you as a youth leader? What was the criteria for you being chosen? Was it because your dad was a pastor?
I feel like yes and no. I was one of them people that even when I didn't know the word, I knew the word because of how I grew up. And I would say that, as you said, one thing that you said also that is so powerful is that you can't expect from someone who you have not educated. So at the same time, I'm also saying that towards the leadership of many churches. They don't know any better. So, and I will also add one thing also, is that sometimes there are some people that will have to, you've been talking about the pioneers anointing and the breakers anointing. Also, if you didn't break certain grounds, those grounds will still be there. You had to be the one taking the L, sorry to say, going through it so that you know, okay, next time I know. And I feel like when it comes to me, I feel like I'm also in that category where I'm like, you know what, I wasn't ready for it. But because of now me going through it, if God places him in that position, I can never put anybody through that again. And I feel like there are two types of people. Those people that break the ground, and those people that walk in the ground that have been broken. So people like, when I hear the stories of Mr. Free Your Mind, Kofi, I'm like, Charlie, God has called us to really break ground. The next set of musicians will never struggle like we struggle. The next set of pastors will never struggle like we struggle. The next set of fathers will never struggle like we struggle.
I strongly believe that our generation of fathers are going to be one of the best.
Oh yeah.
100%. Because I see my mates that are fathers, and it's exceptional. Come on. It's nothing like what our fathers.
Yeah.
And listen, we are not here to say our fathers didn't do well.
Yeah.
The whole point of this conversation is they did what they could.
Yes.
They did what they understood. But I feel like, listen, like when I see my relationship with my son Joel, I look and I'm like, my father missed out.
Yeah.
And before my father died, he wanted to have that, but it was a bit too late. So you said, the sex thing or sexuality or sex thing and identity.
Yeah.
Prince, what do you feel like is the struggle for our young men growing up? Using yourself as an example. Where are these people struggling without us paying attention to?
They're struggling. For me personally, I would say they're struggling with their past. In order for you to go to your destiny, you have to let go of your history. And a lot of us are holding on to our history. Why? Because that's our comfort zone. That's where the mandem is. I lived there for 15 years. How can you tell me to change now all of a sudden? So we're putting so much pressure on ourselves to show other people who we want to be, and we're dying internally. That's why I say with that, it comes with being a public success but a private failure. Right. So in front of people's eyes, Mr. Free Your Mind, he's that guy, he's going to schools. But at home, I'm not even talking to my missus and my son. So am I really that successful guy? So I feel like with that, we just have to let go of our past, and we have to learn as men to be vulnerable. Stop thinking you're that guy because you're hard. You're not hard. You're not hard. Like, let's be real. I can look through your eyes and I can see that you're bleeding. So you trying to look at me, instead of coming to me and be real to me, because I've been through, you're losing out now. So that's why I feel like in church, we have to build that manhood where we can come to each other and be like, yo, Obed, last week I really effed up, But we can't do that because we all want to look like, hey, we're Christian, we're KC, we're the guys. Oh, now other ones are looking at me. This is Mr. Free Your Mind. No. And that's why I am who I am all the time. When I'm struggling, I tell my mentees I'm struggling. But do you know what?
Free Your Mind could call me like 3 a.m. and we could just talk about struggles, isn't it?
Absolutely. You see, I call you sometimes 2, 3 a.m. and I say, you know what? Also, this and that is going on. Why can I be open to him? Because I've forgiven myself. And that's what the young youth have to understand. Let's be open to each other in order to grow. So I feel like we have to let go of our past in order to go towards our future.
Wonderful. All right. That's amazing. Let me come to Kelvin, and then Kelvin? I feel like next week we have to continue. We just have like 9 minutes left, and it feels like we haven't touched anything at all. Because we have to build up. We need to look at solutions, and then I want us to now deal with the subject of fatherhood, mentoring, and all of these kind of things. So it's a massive. Are you guys being blessed? All right, then if you are being blessed, let me feel the fire emoji. Let me see. Let me feel like the thing is working.
Come on.
Let me feel like the thing is working. If it's not working, let me know. So Kevin, talk to me. What do you feel like the struggle is? Identity, sexuality, whatever. Prince feels like struggling with our past. What do you think that? I'm not talking about yourself, but if you can use yourself as an example, but you have brothers, you have friends, you talk to them. What do you feel like the struggle is for many of our young men, Christian young men?
I feel like one of the struggles is pride. So as you said, like an ego. So as you said, like people want to show that they've got a good. But the thing is, for example, like a pastor or someone can even say, "Yo, bro, are you alright?" Yeah, I'm good. Like they get angry. So for example, there's a thing where even when you come and address it, like they won't come to church anymore because they're vexed, they're angry. Like, nah, I'm good. I said I'm good. Like, so they're in denial, and that's because of their ego.
I love that they're in denial.
And another thing is comparison. So when you look at like the next person, like your peers, your age mates, you see everyone doing well, and then you're like, yo, what am I doing? So you fall into a zone, you start putting on a facade, doing things you shouldn't be doing, or even hiding yourself because you don't want to be like you feel like everyone's looking at you and how things, and that's even done by our family. Your family will say, look how your friend's doing, how this is doing, and we take that onto ourselves and live it, but it's an error.
That family comparison thing is deep, isn't it? That family I don't know if you have anything to say about, but it's like you have to be somebody. And the funny thing is that sometimes it's either your parents' standards are too high, because sometimes my father, like I said, he was one of the best mathematicians in Africa. My father basically, went from Ghana to, having scholarship, to coming to study in Manchester, to having a PhD, being taken here from here straight to Nigeria by the government to head their telecommunication. So you couldn't beat him. And, when you have 99%, it's not good for my dad, because the standard is too high. So it's either the standard is too high for us to meet up, or the standard is too low, they want you to change it. So it's like, there's nobody who went to uni, so you have to go to uni. And maybe you know that uni is not your thing. Maybe yours is just some college to just go and learn some, handy trade, or yours is some kind of being an entrepreneur, just having a business. But no, it's like they want to use you to prove a point. Isn't it? So you get to a place where all you are doing is not really for you, but it's for them. So you basically go through, let's say, 4 years, in uni. I'm talking about 3 years with your masters, and you come out and it's not yours, and you are still about to figure out yourself. How does the whole comparison thing feel like for a young man, like yourself? Not just you, but like for your colleagues. How does it feel like?
It's crazy because you live a life that's not for yourself, but like you're living in someone else's shoes, like someone else's identity. So then finding your own identity becomes the biggest problem, because you're living someone else's identity. But I feel like that stems from trust. If you're not able to trust yourself, you're not able to trust others, right? Mm-hmm. So I believe, because you're not trusting yourself, you're hiding so much. You're hiding from your parents, your peers. Like, as a man, like, because you don't trust enough to even speak to someone else, Like you're just gonna live in that comparison state. You're just gonna live in that hiding state because you're not trusting enough to even speak to someone else about what you're going through. I think trusting yourself and believing that, like, whatever it is that I'm going through, like, I need to be able to trust myself that I'll be okay, like, and that I can speak to other people. You know, I think reason why men are so silent is because we don't feel like we can speak to other people. Like, we don't trust enough to even speak to anyone. So we'll rather just hide. And that stems with the ego and the pride and whatnot. So, yeah, I think, trusting yourself enables you to stop comparing and stop hiding. And just trust.
Do you know, with the trusting thing, do you know, I feel like that's the problem.
Yeah.
Because we getting it from every corner.
Yeah.
We getting it from the mandem, from parents, from people around us. You know, sometimes we do these jokes, come on, you can't do that. And we laugh about it, but it's still affecting you in a way. So that pushes your trust down. You see? But then, instead of asking, oh bro, but how do you actually do it? That's when we get to this point. Ego. I don't need to ask him, who does he think he is? You see, I'm trying to say, instead of being like, brother, I can see that you're moving, you know? Like, how do you do this? Nah, he thinks it's good
why would I ask you? Because my mom said that look at him. Exactly. Do you understand? Yeah, my mom said, oh, but look at how your friend is doing.
So already they've set competition in place.
Already, straight away. Already.
And the moment it feels like competition, and to the extent that we are in church, and instead of flowing as brothers, we feel like we have to compete. Like, Kofi sang so well, I have to sing better. You know, Kofi plays the bass so well, I have to do better. Is it an African thing? Again, let's go there. Because when I was growing up in school, privileged to have education both in Africa and in Europe, been through school, secondary school, uni, done it in Africa, done it in Europe. When we were growing up from day one, after every year or exam, we publish results. So we know who is the first in the class, who was the second in the class, who was the third in the class. From my home, you could not fall between first to third. And it wasn't 12 people in the class. Sometimes it's 80 people. So we've been graded right from day one. So you are doing well, not because you are doing well, but you don't want to fall below the first three. So but when I came here, I recognized it didn't exist. Like, when I came here, I didn't see that they were doing there's the first in the class. Yes, they choose which students are top, but they don't bring a list of who is the first all the way to that. So I recognized that even my education was set up in such a way that, and that's why by nature I'm very competitive. I am competitive by nature. Because right from nursery, we started competing. We started competing from nursery. And growing up, I've recognized it's a really bad thing. Because you are not doing things because you want it. You just want to beat that person. And you want to beat them so bad because if you don't beat them, your parents will beat you. You know that kind of thing. So it brings us to such a place where our whole culture is competing. Whereby if you look at the white culture and the Asian culture, it's complementing. There's a very difference in the way we see things. They see themselves like, yo, let's do this together. We are community, papa. They look at the bigger goal. Is it the country? Is it, to the extent that in the African session, or in the African sect, there are 5 brothers, there are 6 brothers, there are 6 sisters. They are in competition. I have to be better than my big sister. No, my small sister cannot marry before I marry. I have to marry first, and then she has to marry. No. Your small sister is going to uni. Why are you still struggling with college? So it's like the competition, and because it's the same people that end up in church, the competition returns to church. So, the backing vocalist has an issue with the lead singer. Because, why shouldn't I sing? Why should you be the one singing? And, this keyboardist has an issue with that. So it looks as if our culture is so competitive. I mean, what do you think about this, Prince? Because should it be that way? Should we be in a place where we are so competitive, or it has to be redefined?
Absolutely not. It has to be redefined. And That's why whenever I do my talks with my mentees, I say collaboration over competition all day long. You know, if you see someone being extremely good at something, you don't need to go against that person. Let's collaborate and just come together and learn from each other. Because that will change people's mindset rather than thinking, oh, he's good, but I've been doing it for 2 years. He's only been doing it for 2 weeks and he already has 2 gigs. What's going on? You see? Come on, talent beats ability all the time. So I feel like that's why we that are in church now, the new generation, rather than looking at someone thinking, oh, they think they're too, ask them for tips. Ask them what they're doing. Let's put that ego aside. You know, we're a team, we're a family. You know, we're in a circle. There are no corners in a circle. So that alone, you should know that we're all in the same house. We're all in the same, come on, man. You see? So this is what I mean. So I feel like, okay, we didn't see that. Cool, no problem. Our parents didn't have it because they didn't have these kind of talks. So now I feel like we need to break the chain and be trailblazers. Trailblazer mean you starting something new from scratch. People would not understand why you're doing it, but this is not even for us. This is for our kids. Next generation. So I feel like us doing this and us redefining competition and putting collaboration rather, things will change. Maybe not in 5 years, not in 10 years, but things will change. Absolutely.
Kevin, let me ask this question. Yeah, we are supposed to be ending, but the conversation is getting interesting. Do you feel like there is a room as a young man to make mistakes and learn from them? Do you feel like we are given room to, because there are certain things you would never learn until you make mistakes. Do you feel like there is room for us to make mistakes, or we are meant to be perfect from day one? I mean, let's be honest, it's not even just our parents, but the moment you are even in a relationship, the woman is even like, yo, you are the man. You have to be, you can't, I mean, you are not a man enough because you can't do this. And you recognize a guy of 18 years is already being given too much pressure. You know, a guy of 18 years can't be 18. He has to be like he's 35. He needs to provide the money. He needs to bring the gifts. He needs to buy the flowers. He needs to bring the perfume. I mean, there's this thing on YouTube now. They call it blue therapy or something. My wife got me to watch it, and it's very interesting. My wife got me to watch it. It's very interesting, especially from the perspective of a counselor. And I'm listening to a girl of about 23 years telling a guy, well, I like expensive things. You need to buy me the Gucci bags and da-da-da. And I'm thinking, wow, I mean, Gucci bag. A young man of 25 needs to buy the Gucci bag. He needs to buy the Prada, whatever. Do you feel like, people are sympathetic to us enough? Do you feel like we are given room to make mistakes, or, right from the get-go, you are supposed to be the man?
I feel like right from the get-go, we're supposed to be the man. And it has its positives and negatives. I'd say negatives because it's a thing where, like, once you make a mistake, like, you can't make a mistake, but we shouldn't make mistakes as now, because I can't lie, if you deep it, the age we are, for example, when I done that money thing, the fraud thing, that mistake, it shouldn't have been made, because that could have affected my life. Certain decisions that we make, I can't lie, it's going to affect your life. Whether we shouldn't make mistakes or not, I understand we're all human beings. However, these mistakes that we make can affect us, like, heavy. So that pressure, and it will affect us more than, I feel like, the females. Obviously, it will affect females, but there's this thing where, for example, if a man can't get a mortgage in his name, yo, everyone's laughing at you. Do you get it? If a female is all right, the man will do it. Do you get it? So it's a thing where, I can't lie, even though we shouldn't make, we have to make mistakes, we shouldn't at the end of the day, because it will actually hurt us more than it will hurt the other party. I feel like, yeah, that's why I don't think we should make mistakes.
I think, adding to what you said, I feel like we're given, as men anyway, sometimes we're given too much room to make mistakes and then try to figure out. But I feel like if, especially at this age, we're taught how to minimize the mistakes, then there won't be as much pressure when it gets to certain stages, because now it gets to those stages where maybe we're married and now we're trying to pattern up those mistakes, which is adding even more pressure. Whereas if there was less room for mistake or exploring and whatnot, if that makes sense, there'll be less pressure.
All right, let me just take final stuff, and next week we continue. I think like we are diagnosing the issues, but we have to come to a place where we come to solutions. If we are not offering solution, then the whole point of this conversation is aimless. But like I said, what do you think? The reason why I want us to get to a place where, especially in this church, we get the conversation going. I'm looking at once every month, we just meet together as men and just talk, have conversations, pray, do our own worship, with the rough voices, and pray for each other, lay hands on each other, just cry for God for each other. And help each other, We know that this one is struggling financially. We put money together. You go sort yourself out. We see this one is having these issues, this and that and that. And, just begin to get to that place where we fix things. Because if our children would say the same things about us, we failed.
Yeah, thanks. Come on, man. Wow.
If our children would come and say these same things about us, we failed. And that's one of the things I vowed to do that. My son Joel, it's crazy because most of the time it's only the African parent who wants the child to go through the very thing they went through. So they will tell you, you've had it too easy. When we were struggling, you people have had it too easy. I'm supposed to have it easy because you went through it. If I'm not having it easy, it means you failed. Because the Bible says that a wise man leaves an inheritance for his. An inheritance does not necessarily mean money. No. It could mean manners. It could mean, example and things like that. So you go to a place where they feel like, oh yeah, when we came, it wasn't easy for us. So you too, you have to go and and it's a wrong kind of doctrine. It's a wrong ideology. And like I said, I'm very hopeful of the fathers of our generation because I've seen Prince. In spite of his mistakes and everything, I've seen him as a father. And that is what you want. I mean, of course, there are days that I have conversations where I'm telling him, listen, I don't want your son to come and grow and see you do this and that and that and that and that. But you could see, I never remember me and my father ever walk on the park. I don't have any memory of me and my father on a park where, I'm on a swing and he's pushing me or anything. The only memories I have is coming to take money for school fees. And even with our time, when he has to buy you a shoe and a tie, he gives the money to the mother. And the mother, so there's nothing like a bond. And, like we saw, this is the way their fathers treated them. But it has to come to a place where it ends. It has to come to a place where even if you did not receive it, you give it regardless. And that's where the grace of God makes up for the inadequacies of our parents. The essence of the grace of God is to give us what our parents couldn't even give us. So we want to get to the place where we begin to set the standards. Listen, the standards would be high. The standards will be high. Our children should meet such a high standard that they would have to uphold it regardless. Not because there is pressure, but because they saw us do what was right. And that's why I feel like, as a church, there's a lot we have to do. I, as a pastor, there's a lot I have to do for you guys. And that's why, again, like I said, I try to open that door and open that room so that we can have these conversations. Because if we want to change things, we cannot keep to things like the way it is. So next week, we'll finish it up. And then, the ladies would also have the yes. So that we can also listen to the perspective of the ladies and their struggles, and then would have a men and women face off and find ways that we can merge, the two from there. So now let me just leave it here, and I want you people to just, give your final thoughts until, we come next week. So Obi, is there anything you want to pass on before we leave? They have to go to pray at 10, so it's already 10:10. So your final thoughts.
All right. Guys, open up. Find people that you can talk to. Trust them with things that you wouldn't trust even saying it to yourself. And and believe God that you're gonna be healed and that you're gonna be a father or a responsible man. Let me just say that for now.
Wonderful. Prince.
Just to let you know, you haven't failed if you haven't stopped. So I just want you to fail forward. If you're not stopping, you can keep on going. If you're falling and you can look up, you can get up. That's what I'm telling you straight.
Wonderful. Kev?
I'd just say, like, boys, just drop the pride, like, and the ego. Yeah.
Drop it.
Simple, yeah.
It would take us nowhere.
I think in our generation, we're privileged that we're a generation that seeks knowledge. So if our generation will continue to seek knowledge on how to better ourselves, the generation ahead will benefit from that. So
amazing. And just watch next week. That's what I have to say. So tomorrow, by the grace of God, we are back here for Kingdom School. We basically are going to go deeper into the Reformers' mandate. We have had a blessed time with Calvin, with Kofi, with Prince, and with Obed. And God willing, next week we would definitely continue and what we started. God bless you. Have a fruitful evening.